Well, first of all, what a fantastic performance that was from Markeisha Babers. Let's hear it for her. Markeisha comes to us from Get Lit Players in LA County. It's a wonderful program that uses poetry to inspire kids to stay in school. Thank you, Markeisha. Come back again soon. And you're going to hear her extraordinary story, the story of her life's journey, tomorrow. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Women in the World. This is our 6th annual summit, but it's our first in collaboration with the New York Times, whose brave reporting on the world was recognized this week with 3 Pulitzer Prizes. Every day now, when I walk the halls of the Times and see that gallery of faces of people who've given their lives for truth, I feel awed and humbled. Our audacious, improbable mission at Women in the World has not changed: to engage with the world and see beyond our own. As we go about our workaday lives, we seldom have the time or the knowledge to truly imagine the lives of others, many shaped by cultures and values very different from our own. The quick-hit reports of rape in Congo, of refugees pouring out of Syria, of oppression in North Korea, they're like tweets that fade from the memory until you hear the voices and stories of witnesses and survivors. In the 12 months since our last summit here, we've seen unimaginable cruelties inflicted on women. In the Middle East, ISIS has abducted and sold thousands of girls into domestic and sexual slavery. And they're systematically murdering women just because they're educated. In Nigeria, Boko Haram refuses to release the schoolgirls that they kidnapped a year ago. Now they're using other girls that they've abducted as young as 10 years old as unwitting suicide bombers. In Central America, mothers desperate to save their children from violence and poverty see no choice but to send their kids with human smugglers to the United States, alone. And in the past year, women have been killed by governments or gunmen because they dared to engage in peaceful protest, or because they married against the wishes of their parents, or because they took a stand against religious extremism. And as we all know, we still have a shaming amount of work to do here in the United States. Over the next few days, you'll hear stories of women, stories by women, women who are celebrated leaders and women whose names are unknown outside their communities, women moving and shaking in the corridors of power, and women raising hell in the streets, women living in the news, and women shaping the future, women so compelling, so invigorating, that the rest of us might be moved to emulate their courage and enterprise and follow their lead. And we're not forgetting the men who champion them either. Thank you, Harry, wherever you're sitting. We have plenty of great men here. And we have plenty of men with us on the stage. But before we start, I want to take a minute just to thank our wonderful presenting sponsors for their support. Toyota has been a loyal backer of Women in the World since 2012 with their inspiring Mothers of Invention series. Merck is back to lend a generous hand again. Their Merck for Mothers program is working to improve access to good maternal health care. And Dove returns to the summit, but now is a new global partner with us. And tomorrow we're going to have an exciting announcement about an initiative that we're launching together. I'd also like to give a warm thanks to our leadership sponsors, Flextronics, Land's End, and MasterCard, and our supporting sponsors, the Ford Foundation, Thomson Reuters, and Walmart. And finally, I want to say again what a privilege it is to collaborate with the New York Times. Together, we've launched a new Women in the World digital channel. It's live all year round, and you can find it at newyorktimes.com now, Women in the World. We're also partnering to bring new Women in the World summits to London, New Delhi, and Dubai. I promise you that over the next 3 days, you're going to meet some extraordinary women you've never heard of before, and some that you have heard of, but have never seen like this. Yes, we have tonight Meryl Streep, tomorrow Hillary Rodham Clinton, and Friday Samantha Power and Robin Wright. But just as memorable are Bushra Awad from Palestine, Robbie Damlin from Israel, Sister Rosemary from Uganda, and ISIS's most wanted woman in Iraq, Vian Dakhil Syed. It's now my honor to present my formidable co-hosts of this year's Women in the World, led by the woman who's been at my side from day one, Diane von Furstenberg. Thank you.
Good evening. The woman I'm here for is Yam Kumari Gurung, one of the few female head teachers in Nepal. She presides over a rural school in the village she grew up in, where she's inspiring a wave of young girls to achieve their dreams. I came back to my village because I believe that it should have been an opportunity to develop. The community has a positive way of thinking. If only one girl in the village passes her secondary school exams, then that girl will get respect and become a role model. But even after teaching in this school for so many years, some people in the community still don't feel completely comfortable with me being a head teacher. They don't believe I could fully represent the school and improve the conditions in the way a man could. Even though my qualifications are the same or even better, men would still be selected for a higher position before I would be. Every girl needs an education to be independent and take care of herself. Education is the same as learning a skill. Girls need to fight against structures and beliefs that may try to keep them small. My dream is that one day they will all be equal.
The woman I'm here for is Brazil's Malika Astro. Her methods are unconventional, but they're effective. She's a graffiti artist who set out to shift culture one mural at a time. Art is her medium, and ending violence against women is her message. When Brazil passed its first and only law addressing domestic violence, she took its message to the favelas, to the forgotten communities and women who so desperately need to hear and see that they have a right to live a life free from violence. Graffiti for me is a lifestyle. It's a different way to think and live in the world. I think it's a kind of art you can like or not like, but you can't close your eyes to it. It will always be there. It passes a message if you want to see it or not. And this is why it's so powerful. Many people think that power and real change come from the top, from politicians and decision makers. But I believe that changes can't come from law. We have lots of laws in Brazil, but the laws are just words. The laws don't work unless people want the laws to work. Changes come when you can shift culture. One way to change culture is to tell people that they can change it. People don't know that they have this power or this right. I have found that the most powerful way to shift culture and create the kind of future we want is through culture itself. Thank you.
The woman I'm here for is Gladys Lanza Ochoa, a women's rights activist who was recently sentenced to 18 months in jail for defamation because she defended a woman who accused a Honduran government official of sexual harassment. At first, I didn't understand the difference between the fight for men and the fight for women. I thought, we're the same. What's the difference? But when I began to understand that violence is a problem in all its magnitude, I became committed and began to identify my rights as a woman. Violence is one of the most destructive things because it minimizes women, it lowers their self-esteem, it causes depression. We haven't been able to decrease these levels of violence. However, we have been able to accomplish that women now recognize the violence, they denounce it and make it seem unnatural in women's lives. We live with the risks. The attackers look for us and threaten us. An attacker once said to me, "Now we can't even hit them." This indicates how men view women as their property, that they can do what they want with us. To me, the strength of women is incredible. We know that there is danger, and we go, sure that nothing will happen. We know that there is danger, but we need to go. This bravery with which we deal with things gives everyone strength.
Good evening. The woman I'm here for is Melissa Ruvimbo Kavruno, a 17-year-old girl and activist from Zimbabwe. Gender inequality starts with the little girl wanting to play with cars and not with dolls, or a little boy forced to play with cars when he actually would want to play with dolls. It's about the simple things. For me, it means that I can study physics if I want to, without my teacher telling me that it is a boy's subject. There are 860 million young women and girls living in developing nations. We are 860 million dreams, 860 million voices, and we have the power to make a difference. Change needs to happen in the smallest places, in the most tangible ways. We need to talk with traditional leaders, to approach them along with men so that they see that gender inequality is not a woman's issue.
The woman I am here for is Ife Enwa Madhu Aguaje. She is a champion of women's health in Nigeria, where she's training community role models in maternal health to reach at-risk mothers who wouldn't have access to good care otherwise. The figures on maternal mortality in Nigeria are disheartening and show the enormity of the challenge. Nigeria is only 2% of the world's population, but it represents 10% of the maternal deaths from childbirth. And more sadly, for every woman who dies from childbirth, another 30 women suffer long-term ill effects. My Nigerian sisters, cousins, neighbors, and friends die on a regular basis because of lack of access to skilled healthcare during pregnancy and childbirth. And with the realization that at the end of today, 144 women will have died from childbirth in Nigeria, I have resolved this year to do everything within my means as a woman and as a Nigerian to make prenatal home-based care a reality for Nigerian women. I might seem like a lone voice, but I know that if I cry long enough and I speak loud enough, change will definitely come someday for my Nigerian sisters.
Good evening. The woman I'm here for is Lakshmi. When she was 16 years old, she survived an acid attack by a man whose advances she refused. She started a movement to prevent acid attacks and successfully took her cause to the Indian Supreme Court. I learned to live with the physical pain But what hurt more was the way the society reacted. But I ask you, is it our fault? Why are we shunned? Most of us are blinded or have lost our hearing. You can't bear to look at us, but we don't have the money to buy ourselves new faces. You stare at us and gather your children in a hurry, hoping they haven't got scared just looking at us. Why don't you tie a band around your eyes and see how dark it gets? That's how dark our world is. I hope you never have to inhabit it, but I do hope you understand it. Don't give me the strength if you can't, but don't try and break my confidence. I have just learned to move on. I have a dream and I want to live it.
Good evening. The girl I am here for is Mary, a 15-year-old from Sierra Leone. After losing her mother to the Ebola virus, she's raising her younger brother and sister on her own, hoping one day to return to school. My mother was the first to fall sick after helping a sick woman in the neighborhood. They called for an ambulance and she was rushed away to the hospital. It was the last time I ever saw her. When my mom was alive, she used to encourage me. We talked a lot. We laughed before going to bed. Since she died, nobody talks to me the way that she did. I'm really missing her love, everything. I don't know what to tell my brother and sister. How can I explain death to a 4-year-old when I barely understand it myself? This wasn't supposed to be my responsibility. I can only try to make Amadou and Awa happy. First, I will take care of my brother and sister, and then I will take care of our people. There must be a reason why we survived, so I have no other choice but to make a difference.
The girl I am here for is Emmalin Cabrera. When she was 13, she asked the mayor of her rural Guatemalan town to find ways to help girls stay in school and get better health care. He laughed. 2 years later, she was invited to speak at the United Nations. The most serious problems we face in my community are early pregnancy, maternal death, lack of education and health, and as a result of all of this, suicide, because adolescents can no longer find value in their lives. I can say that as a teenager, I have had many obstacles. I have suffered double discrimination for being a girl and for being Mayan. I have had to overcome barriers to access education and health. Many girls in my country, and I am sure worldwide, die because they are denied their rights, primarily the right to health. I decided to look for opportunities to participate and to help me learn more about my rights so that I can also help other girls in my community and my country. It is important that we, as adolescent girls, are empowered to defend ourselves and not to be tokenized or utilized. In many instances, the local authorities did not believe in us because they think we have no problems or that what we go through should be seen as normal. So now, as a leader in my community, I have decided to fight for my rights because the rights of girls and women are human rights, and all girls have a voice, and we will claim our rights.
The woman I am here for is Bina Lakshmi Nepram, who is receiving death threats from insurgent groups because of her work for peace and disarmament. I started my work because I was born into a conflict area of Manipur, where we had no choice but to fight back. Realizing that I was living in abnormal conditions, coupled with the death of my niece who died in a bomb blast and threats to my parents, I knew that I could not stay away. The underlying cause of why violence against women happens, and particularly sexual violence, is the growing trend of militarization of our minds, our society, our culture, and our nations. Today, as I speak, more than 135 weapons manufacturing companies are producing arms and ammunition in more than 98 countries. Violence against women is on the rise, and where weapons are used, it is even more dangerous. That's why we need a collective effort to end this scourge. Together, women of the third world, the first world, the middle world, this one globe, have to be united and work together to bring the shift and bring the end to violence against women and violence around the world.
The woman I'm here for is Liz Odera. Liz started the Girl Power Clubs program in Nairobi, Kenya, to empower girls by teaching them life skills through sports. Sports is an excellent medium for communicating with young people because it breaks barriers, provides a platform for social integration, and it addresses health and better life choices. Of great concern to me through the years has been the fact that girls in Africa are often left behind in every sphere, including schooling time and sports, and a lack of a platform to address their issues. And I am committed to changing this by helping girls become leaders in their community. Many girls have gained confidence in knowing that they can actually have a dream and work towards it. And we have encouraged them to make completion of high school their primary goal. Today, Girl Power Clubs Africa is a leadership program run by girls for girls. The girls in our program are winning awards in sports from district to nationals, and a number have earned sports scholarships to study in colleges in Kenya and abroad. Those who graduate continue to provide mentorship and support to those within the program, doing exactly what I did when I started and making my dream come true.
And the woman I am here for is Mira from India. She fought for her education and became a writer and NGO worker. I come from a small town in India called Sivakasi. Growing up, I knew that not many girls in the town could go to school. Parents often considered their daughters a burden and hastily got them married young. I was made fun of for my dreams of wanting to do better than what was expected, of simply wanting the freedom to choose or to access my rights. Today, I feel proud. I feel proud that I had proved all those people wrong. My message to girls around the world is to accept education but embrace knowledge. Always be open to learning, even when you're away from your classroom. It's only then that a world of opportunity opens up for you. And never, no matter how hard, don't stop trying.